we've also heard that, our military, they're overstretched. There are a lot of them involved in internal security operations. We have them in the Niger Delta. We have them, countering kidnapping. We also have, settler, indigenous, brouhaha happening also in the north-central part of Nigeria, and military men have been deployed there for a very long time.
Yes.
So in almost every aspect or almost every region of Nigeria, we seem to have, some security challenge or the other, where our military men are also helping out. You don't think that, 100,000 is actually quite little to spread over a country as big as we are?
Let me tell you something. If our military are overstretched, it's because the leadership don't listen. In today's world, you have different types of armies. You have expeditionary, you have the conventional, you have the National Guard, and they all have their different areas of competence. You don't have one army that you want to send abroad, that you want to use at home, that you want to deploy to do every and anything. Even if you had 100 million, they will be overstretched. So what I'm simply saying is the military is meant to actually perform a particular role constitutionally. Use them for that. If you require men to handle security situations as we see it today, start thinking of outsourcing. If you go to Afghanistan, 70% of what happens there militarily is outsourced. There are what we call private military security companies. I've been privileged to be part of one. And they've done jobs in Malabo, done jobs in Angola. And these are jobs that help support the fighting forces.
And we can access them in this country.
Why not? There are proud sons and daughters of Nigeria who are assets to these companies. You have a handful, a generation of ex-soldiers. They're all out there. They're doing nothing. Where is our reserve? It's on paper and nowhere else. We need to activate the reserve. Have you ever wondered how the soldier out there eats? Have you ever wondered who washes his clothes? So, if you had to split your fighting time in between doing your laundry and all those other offices of nature that accompany our human existence, how do you now face the situation at hand? Then add the fact that your weapons are nowhere near parity.
Speaking about weapons, some years ago, at the time, lots of Nigerians raised questions, when they saw this huge, it was a shock to them, the Lagos ports, arms and ammunition intercepted by customs at the time. Then there was another plane, was it Kano, that landed, said it was en route, another country going through Nigeria, and then we have our borders. All of these questions at the time, people wondered, something must be up. Is it possible that all of those have something directly or indirectly to do with what we're facing today?
They may not, but it's safer to actually consider that an indicator immediately it happens. Proactively, as a security chief, if you could actually bring that kind of thing to my country and put it in my ports and I discovered it, I'm going to actually trace it way back down to where it's coming from. We heard a lot about it for like 1-2 weeks, and I don't know what actually became of that.
And I think it was one West African country, I'm not sure if it's the Gambia.
Yeah, Gambia.
They put their foot down.
Yeah.
Expelled some of those envoys and said, we will not accept this.
Exactly.
But Nigeria, what did we do?
It just melted naturally, it died a natural death. Now, what I'm trying to say here is, in 4 years, we have had opportunities, windows of opportunities that open momentarily and close. We don't seem to be learning from them. That's why I said there seems to be a conspiracy of silence somewhere.
Take us through then.
Yes, let me give you an example. Once upon a time, 200 girls were 200 girls were kidnapped from a school. Despite the oddities and the discrepancies, that move was the greatest undoing of the Boko Haram. They never expected the kind of condemnation it elicited. It was global and it was strong. Terrorists are egoists, basically. They believe in their cause unto the death. For a terrorist to offer to negotiate means something gave way. They were cornered. We lost the moment. We did not seize the opportunity. People gave all manner of reasons why we shouldn't negotiate. Why I believe in my conspiracy of silence is the same people who were offering committees on dialogue, amnesty, pleading with them to shed their swords, suddenly turned down this offer to clear those 200 girls right out of the way. And why would I want to keep a terrorist? He was commander of Boko Haram units. My intelligence chiefs have had him for so long. They have his visuals, they have his facials, they have his biometrics, they have every kind of data about him. And suddenly I had to exchange him for 200 of our children. It may not be a perfect, but it's correct to do just that. We lost that moment.
Are you saying we should have negotiated?
If I was in position, if I could call the shots, I'll give those boys out and take my daughters back. I tell you why.
Why?
If you get caught as a terrorist, with all due respect, you are a benched terrorist. You are benched. No terror cell commander will use you again because your face will be all over this planet. Your biometrics, your everything is... So what use will you be even if you come back home?
So
well, so we were told, but I mean, we also recall that one of the recent bombings, the Yayam bombings, have been linked to a certain ex-soldier who was, or an officer who was, caught by the SSS. He was held as a suspect, and we understand that under pressure or human rights pretext, he was released. And now they say that he was the mastermind of the Yayam bombings. Is that really safe?
It all depends on how you manage it. Let me assure you, for them to have known who did it, and having traced him down to be A, B, or C, or ex-soldier, I think his name is Oguche or so.
Yeah.
That means they had something on him. If those leads they had on him that identified him immediately that thing was done had been properly managed, he will probably had led the same agencies home to where the masterminds and where the camps for planning are. So what I'm saying is, we don't seem to seize the moment. We don't seize the moment because our reasoning is beclouded by either political, socio-economic, cultural. I was in this country when a certain serving office holder's mother was kidnapped and she was released in 10 days. One person.
No ransom paid.
Well, let's take that with a pinch of salt. If the ransom was paid, then why can't I also give terrorists out for 200 girls? If the ransom was not paid, what was done to get her out that can be done now? Both ways, I think.
Let me expatiate on this principle a little bit, which you spoke about, benched terrorists.
Yes.
If that's the case, why did U.S. engage in that exchange with Taliban?
Well, from the sidelines, looking at what happened in the United States, Sergeant Baghdad Bowie, I believe, he was exchanged for Talibans from Guantanamo Bay. Do you think there's anything about those Talibans the Americans wouldn't know today? The ones they exchanged. Do you think they will show up anywhere on earth and the Americans would know? Even if one of those Talibans dropped a drop of his sweat and they picked it and they will say it's XYZ. And you think they just release them to walk free on the face of this earth? Every minute of their existence is being watched. The Interpol will have their data all over the world.